Hello, welcome back to the 100th episode of File New. My name is Ryan Selvy. This is your number one stop for design news, art news, creator news that's always changing and always evolving. So we're excited to have you here for the 100th episode. It's been really fun getting here, and we've got a lot to go through today. But let's go ahead and just hop into the show. So like I said, it's the 100th episode of File New. I started on episode 39, which was back in January of 2024. So it's been over about a year and 9 months for us to get to this 100th episode. I'm really excited about it. And we've gone through a lot of changes. It looks different. You can see even like the purple is different. Also, why am I so low on my camera? But we used to also do like a green screen background, and there used to be like stuff going over my shoulder. But then now we do a lot more in-app focused updates, so it's just easier to have it actually in Photoshop itself. But it's been really fun. There's been people who have been here along the whole time, calling and looking at you, Oliver and Clever, Sean, and thank you for everybody else who is in chat and is joining either for their first time or their 100th time, literally 100th time. Which I don't think anyone has been at full 100%. I haven't even been at full 100%. We've had guest hosts like Wade Acuff and Jacob Paris, which have been cool. And Paul Trerney, obviously, was also the first one to host. So if you guys are ever looking to host File New, let me know. It's always an opportunity. Something I thought would be fun for this time around the sun is doing Font of the Week, but doing all the fonts against each other that have won Font of the Week. So we're going to have 2 rounds, and let's hop right into it. We're going to do 2 rounds because you can only have 4 votes in a given YouTube poll. So we're going to do you guys want to see all 8 contenders at the beginning, and then you'll see what's coming up next. This will be the first one we do, which is Jellica, Hadgrid, Refine, and Tuppence. And then the next one we'll do Swear, Urbane, RL Folklore, and Placato. And then whichever wins both of these individual ones will then, at the end, go against each other for font of the show. I don't know. I don't know what we call it. But let's get it off. We'll start it as we always do with Font of the Week with these 4 options. It's going to be a lot of voting today. So we will be going over them just like we normally do. But I'm going to start off with Font of the Week 1. And I'm just going to put these 4 in here. And we will talk a little bit about them. Obviously not fully in depth because we are going to want to get to the other parts of the show. But I thought this would be fun to do just over the course of the next hour. We will be voting and working with these. So the poll is up on YouTube. If you guys are already on YouTube, you can vote. If you're on Behance, make sure you hop on over and then you give it a vote. And we'll check in, I guess, in about 20 minutes to see which one we are currently leading with. But that doesn't mean they're going to win because, after all, it's got to be up against the other one. So I'm seeing Super Font Extravaganza from Valder in the chat, which is funny. Jacob saying it's an easy vote to begin with. Yeah, so I guess we will go ahead and hop into a little bit of a breakdown of what these different typefaces do, what they're about. The first one's Jellica. It's by Dave Rowland Type, and it is a retro soft serif display. It has 7 weights with matching italics, so up to 14 options. It's influenced by Cooper Black, Gaudy Heavy Face, and Ludlow Black. It has rounded forms with a nostalgic aesthetic that's both expressive but approachable. It is best case used for display scenarios that require something with warmth or friendliness, approachable. It could be used in signage, posters, branding if you want kind of like a more vintage vibe. Although I feel like it could even be kind of a new wellness, healthy vibe. I'll go ahead and real quick show you guys all of the beginning letter forms. And then we also can't neglect the glyphs. So glyphs, bunch of options here. Very soft and even has some arrows for you, which we always love arrows. You can see it in the middle here between the file and the new. Also, I do want to say hi to everybody. Why there are, Sean and Apurva. We have Rick. Always good to have Rick here. Jacob, Drew, Virgil. Thank you guys for supporting and being here for the 100th episode. Thank you, Bree, for saying happy 100th. Yes. Also saw someone say that they do get 100% because they watch the VODs, which I don't know if that counts. But honestly, it does count. We'll see. Next up in our font of the week extravaganza is Hagrid, a font by Zeta Fonts, designed by Cosimo Lorenzo Panici. It is a grotesque display sans serif. Sans serif meaning the serifs are little boots and hats on letters, and sans is saying no, so no boots and hats. It has a companion text family feeling that's optimized for readability. So you could use this definitely for a body copy. You could use it also for editorial design, expressive, loud title case as well. So you could also use it for really big posters, big type, because it has lots of different weights for you. And the cuts of it are what really interest me. I really also obviously like glyphs, as we've gone over 100 million times. They have some really cool arrows. They also have Arabic letters. It has everything from little monsters in their glyphs. I think this one specifically won because it has a bunch of these different monsters kind of baked right into it, and you can build out monsters with just using type. It is 24 styles across display and text versions, and it actually, I believe, is variable. So you're able to go and you can adjust it accordingly, which is really neat. That's Ryan's year, and we're just living on it. What is the year for? I'm not sure. VOD shaming. I'm sorry. I'm not VOD shaming. I'm sorry. Hagrid has a font, says Apurva. Yes, and it won 1 week. So let's see if it's still going to keep it up or not. Then we have Raffine. Raffine is Kofo Raffine, is how you can actually search it in Adobe Fonts. It is a eclectic high contrast serif display. It has hats and boots. It's rich in flair, asymmetry, and personality. The asymmetry of it is really interesting because you see, like on the F, even at the top, it has different weight distribution, or on the N, you see this one has flares on both sides. It has a strong cross beam, but the verticals are very, very thin. It is a relatively new font. I believe it was released this year, and it is good for cinematic branding, luxury branding, fashion, display work. You definitely would not use this as a body copy because, if you would bring this all the way down to something like 20, you can't. I mean, we can read that it says file new because we know it says file new, but it would be very difficult to read, especially in large quantities. And in here, you can even get it even thinner if you want it to, which I feel almost feels kind of like either Art Deco or Art Nouveau. It could be very luxury. It could be bohemian. It could be kind of fantastical or fantasy. I could see this obviously with like a fairy or something. And then you can also go really, really heavy, which goes up to bold. And this might be for, I feel like this would be closer to maybe something with fashion. If you write out Dior, it looks like it makes sense. So that is Raffine. And then the last one for right now is Tuppence, which is made by Delve Fonts, designed by Roberto de Vicky de Cumtich. And it is a display serif with both traditional structure and ornamental richness, but it is soft, It is inspired by Black Friars. Tuppence features wider lowercase proportions and geometric refinement and a generous selection of decorative elements like catchwords, swatch capitals, ligatures, ornaments, symbols, and arrows. It is good for packaging, branding, greeting cards, posters. Perfect when you need refined display text with whimsical, elegant embellishments. And I just think this one is very soft and calming. I almost used it for wedding stuff, but I did not. It also has a lot of really great glyphs, from like snowflakes to different things you could even make a deck of cards with if you wanted to. And they have a good time with it. So once again, that's Tuppence. And those are our 4 first options. We're going to keep it open for about 10 more minutes as we hop into some other updates. But that is a great place to start. And I'm excited to see you guys all vote and to see who wins. Then we had a question in the chat asking about glyphs over an Express, and Sean saying that he does not believe that you can use glyphs yet because it is a web app. But you can bring your fonts over. I just don't know how you would be able to implement them unless you copy and pasted them. If you copy and pasted them, you might be able to get it, but I have not tried myself. Basically, Valder is saying that he was saying that it was my year and we're living in it just because a lot of good things are happening and it's been fun. Rick is mentioning Mary Poppins with Tuppence the birds, Tuppence a bag, feed the birds, which I honestly also think about whenever I feel like I see this. Okay, so while you guys are voting on that, we could hop into some cool resources that I came across this week, and these are all free and accessible for you to use in your own work or on your own record. So let's hop into resources. As always, the resources and links for this week's episode are all in Raindrop. Raindrop is a cool collector of links that we use each week to put in all of our links that we talk about, from news to resources, spotlight, even fonts of the week. But this week in particular, too, I also started, as you'll see there when you click into the Raindrop, that I started a folder for font of the week, which is pretty fun. It has all of the winners from the last 10 or so. I need to go through all the way back to our first font of the week and figure out all of the winners. Maybe we'll make a little booklet of winners of fonts. But that has its own section now with ones that have won font of the week. But you can see that all the resources that we talk about today are also going to be available in this Raindrop. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, though, in resources today, if we can find it, is... Let's just unlock all of them, and then we'll go from there, right? Is this update blog from Jake Rannis, and it's all about using a 0 or 90 degree approach to create vectors in a cleaner setting. So what he's saying by this is whenever you're going to create a vector in Illustrator, some of the cleanest things are going to be forcing yourself to use a vertical and horizontal approach to your Bezier curves. He says you should stick to the extrema, which means the most extreme portion of the vector and the curve. So you can see here the most intense portion of the curve at the top of this 8 is straight in the middle. The most important inflection of the side curve is here directly on the left. So as it's turning around, you want to be able to have equidistant from both sides, and then that way it can continuously be a place that controls the whole shape and not create a wonky asymmetry that doesn't read well. He also says less is more. Use less anchor points if you can. You can even use 2 anchor points to make a circle if you want to. Obviously, it's normally made with 4 equal points, but it's showing that even complex shapes can be dumbed down to be even a cleaner output, because the less ones you have, the more flexibility you have to create a nice, smooth, readable vector without losing any of the cleanliness or detail. All right, and so that's our first resource that we have. Then we're going to move on to the next thing, which is an update from Topia Supply. Topia Supply is a really good Instagram to follow. They give a lot of these updates with these tutorials, and it's a step-by-step guide to creating a fully editable text effect in Adobe Illustrator. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just follow along with what they have here for how to create this editable text effect with this shiny Boston with some depth to it. And this is all things that can be made in the properties panel, so that then when you go to change the words by any chance, you're going to continue to also be able to update the text and not lose it in a destructive manner. So let's go check out it on Instagram. Like I said, it's Topia Supply, and it has a full walkthrough of how to make the editable in Illustrator. So the first thing is to open up a new document in Illustrator. So I've launched Illustrator in this window. we are going to just create a new file, and it is going to be, it doesn't matter what the size of the artboard's going to be because we're just focusing on the words themselves. Let's grab a nice sans serif font. I'm going to grab one of the fonts that are up for vote next round, which is Urbane, because it's a nice sans serif that we have here. And we're going to try to use that to create this effect. So we're going to, maybe we make this say font of the week. That would be kind of fun, right? Font of the week. That might be, it might be too crazy, but like that's a really long one to do. I probably should have tried it with this exact verbiage before we went live, but you know, we're going to do it live. Okay. Jacob already says he loves it, but we haven't done it yet. We're getting to it. So we're going to go to window, and we're going to grab our appearance panel and make sure that it is active. You can see over here that I already have it pulled up on my side, but for this sake, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring it just so we fully are able to see it. From there, we're going to add 3 fills, and you can do fills down here by clicking this little box, and we're going to make them change the color of the bottom one to 4-6. All right. Here we go. Change this one to 46000. It gives us kind of like a dark color. Then we're going to go to the second bottom one, and we're going to change this one to FFD 700, and leave the top one as is because this is just a regular black piece. With the bottom fill selected, clicking here, we're going to go to the FX and click path, offset path. So here I'm going to go to offset path. I then am going to go from here, and we are going to add a little bit of rounded. Oh, that's 10 inches. We don't want 10 inches. We want, let's do 10 pixels. And by the way, you can always do that if you want to. That's too much. We're going to do, we're going to increase the size of this so that it feels not so tiny. All right. Okay. We're going to then offset that path with a smaller meter limit. Where is that offset path? We can get right back into at any given moment. I could bring this down. It's too big. We're going to say, I need to change my unit of measurement, because if that ever happens to you guys, you can go to document setup and you can change that to pixels if you'd like to. That way we'll have a little bit more control. Yeah, same. So we can say 5 pixels and we don't have to keep having it do conversions. We're going to, in this case, do 2 pixels. We're going to keep it round though. And then we are going to go and say, with that same letter, select FX and choose distort and transform. Okay. So we go here and we're going to go distort and transform. Then we're going to go to transform. From this menu, we are then going to increase this from 99.7% for scale and move. 99.7, and then this is what? Move. We're going to do 6 horizontal and 1 vertical. All right. Copies 50. Okay. Ooh, but this is going to put it off to the side. we want to... Oh, maybe we want to do 6 at 1. Maybe it's 6 vertical. 1 horizontal? Oh, because my angle's wrong. That's why. Okay, got it. So we want this to be 90 degrees, I believe. No? Maybe right? Oh, let's rotate. Oopsies. 0. What did I do different this time? I believe this is 6, right? Oh, 0. Oops. That's not a 6, it's a 0. That's why, my friends. There we go. All right. That's so much better. That's why if something's not working, you should always... it's always good to double check. This has 50 copies, which is probably too many. So obviously we're going to go down to 30 for this, just because I don't want it to be as deep as this might be. We might even go down to 20, like this. Okay. And then go next, and we are going to then distort and transform everything here. And we're going to change this to free distort. And from free distort, we're going to drop the top anchor points to the inside. So both of these are going to go in like this. Okay. You can also always reset it if you want. I'm going to move both of these in like so. Okay. That has a bit of a curve to it. And then we're also going to go back in and we're going to go to FX warp arc lower. And we're going to reverse it so that it goes up. Obviously, you can't make it go too high. Otherwise, it will close in on itself. And that's going to be 0 and 0. Now create a stack of white horizontal bars and place a transparent square behind it. Drag it to the swatches panel. All right, so now create a stack of white horizontal lines. Like, oops. While not having it selected. You want to select your own thing here. We're going to just go... I'm holding down Option to change these, by the way. And these are going to be our shines. So that's how we're going to have this be added. Okay. We're going to change this to white. And then we are going to put a transparent square behind it because that's what we say is the option for the swatch. To say like this, so everything here is grouped together as a swatch. I'm going to then select all of it. We're going to open up our swatches panel by going to Windows Swatches. And from here, you can then drag the whole thing into your swatches panel. So now that exists in our swatch panel. We're going to go to the top layer here of this adjustable thing. And we're going to change that last one that was black. And we're going to change that to the pattern by going to select this fill. And we're going to go to distort and transform. Oh, we have to apply the pattern first, actually. Sorry. So we're going to go to our swatches. This is the new pattern that we have. Whoa! And then we're going to adjust it to then go to FX, distort, transform. And this is where we're going to kind of move it so that it then reads as a shine and not just like a stripe through the middle. So this has 45 degrees. Like that. Copies 0. Don't transform the object so that it kind of just stays like that. You can also do reflections if you want to. And then you could also always go back in and adjust what the shine is. So you would go and you'd have to go edit the swatch itself. But that gives you a fun thing. You can also continue to edit it. But now, if we wanted to, I could just say, hello. And it still gives us that same thing, which is pretty cool. And it's really editable. Once again, that comes from the guys at Topia Supply, and they have a really cool thing for it, where you can like Boston and what have you. So anyway, we're going to look back at our font of the week since we have already done 20 minutes in here. We're going to look at the results that we have. And so far in the YouTube poll, the winner of the first round is Rafine. All right. Amazing. So that means we can now promote Rafine into the final round. I'm going to go bring him over here. Oops. But that means it's time to do the second one, which is going to be Swear Display. Let's see. Swear Display. Urbane. Oops. Oh, dang it. RL Folklore. Or finally, Placato. And I tried to get some variety in here for you guys. But go ahead and vote over on the YouTube page. And so I'm going to do a rundown of which each one is. So, first one, Swear Display, is a serif display. As you can see, it has boots and hats. It's expressive, has character. It's intended for impact rather than text setting. So this is going to be things that are really fully for grabbing attention, not for body copy. It is dramatic with contrast. It also has italics. You can see here it has contrasts of thin strokes and thick strokes. This is on the heaviest level. It is razor thin exterior serifs and comparatively larger interior ones to manage spacing and visual tension. It is filled with different weights. So you can see if you click in, this is all synced from Adobe fonts. We have things all the way from down thin up to black italic. It also has a special type of italics, which is, I believe, Salati. And you can see here, this is regular italics versus you also have this variation, which is really nice. We then have Urbane, which is a geometric sans serif. It is has a high X height. As you can see, the R is really high to the top of that U. Same with the B being the top to the high of the stem there. It has condensed bowls and has very easy readability. It also, oh, that's still Haggard, isn't it? Urbane. No glyph. Even their glyph has a no glyph, which is kind of fun. This is very clean. You can see very easy to read. It comes from device fonts, and as you would imagine, it's easy to read on devices. Then we have RL Folklore from Radluca, which is a boldly carved out display font with sans traditions kind of like baked in there, with the idea of things kind of breaking back out to feel like it's a sans, but it's not. It has like curvy sides of the N, it has cuts off to the E, which is really kind of cool. This is typically offered just in a singular black weight, so you get what you get, and it is there to dominate large sizes, perfect for posters, packaging, display applications, all of the above. And then finally we have Placato, which is a display face. It's split up into two pieces for most letters. Some are just one, but mostly are split into two. It's bold, modular, very expressive. It has a very heavy weight. It is also available in italics, which is nice, but also kind of messes with the modularity a little bit. It has, oh, we didn't look at the glyphs of any other ones, but this one also has some really good glyphs with smiley faces and even a cute little skull, which I really like. A little Jason as well from, that's Jason, right? Or is that Freddy? Which one wears the mask? Who wears the mask? Is it Freddy or Jason? In this non-copywritten world that we're saying these questions out loud. I was gonna put a skull for now. Kind of looks like One Piece. And those are the 4 ones for round 2. So make sure you guys vote. Purva's laughing at the swear name for display name if you swear through it, but I'm not gonna swear. It's Jason. All right, cool. So Jason has a little Jason mask. And then Michael Myers has the like presidential mask, right? We're getting close enough to Halloween points. I can bring it out. Freddy has the claws. Yes, Freddy is in the dreams. Freddy is Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Yeah. All right. Jason wears a hockey mask. Yes, thank you very much. All right. Let's hop back into resources for you guys. I promise it won't be as tutorial heavy, but I wanted to go through and I just wanted to see kind of like how they did that. This next one is a update from Alex Grigg. He does a lot of really cool posts about animation, both digital and practical, and they are a lot of I need to make sure I know you can't hear. I know you can't hear. Do not worry. I can't hear either. So we're going to start it over. I'm going to unmute it for you.
Fluid motion like this. I'm using an animation idea called follow through. This is where one thing moves and other things follow it. But thinking about all these different bits at the same time is pretty hard, so we can use guides to make it easier. So for this character, we can start with a big shape first. This is where all the energy comes from. I use a simple ball and make sure the arcs and the spacing are feeling really nice, because it's really hard to change once we add all the extra stuff. Now, I think about each gooey little leg one at a time, and I animate a guide following behind the main ball. Because the character is gooey, I imagine this guide is attached to the main ball with a spring. When the main ball comes to a stop, I let it swing past and slowly come to rest. Then I do the same thing for the other 2 legs. Once I've animated each of these, now I can sketch in the stuff that connects it all together. This is where I get to make the character feel rubbery and fluid. But because the motion's all planned out, it's way easier. If you want to try it out yourself, maybe just start with one tentacle and see how it feels. This animation was part of a critique I did, and you can check out the full video walkthrough in the link in my bio, as well as loads of other resources. Or just follow along here for more animation tips.
Yeah, so this is Alex Grigg. Like I said, he does a bunch of really cool animations. He walks through how he can use all of them and how you can apply those to your work, how other famous animators do some of their work. And you can always animate in Fresco or Photoshop, After Effects. You can take a lot of these learnings and you can apply them to your own. So once again, he's just on Instagram as Alex Grigg, which is ALEXXGRIGG. And he has really great stuff. So GG to him, I guess. Umacorn says she was already following Alex. Oh, great. Is anybody else here already following Alex, or have you seen his stuff online? Because he has like over 100,000 followers. So, I mean, definitely could see why there would be one, but are there any more? Okay, but maybe you're not an animator. Maybe that doesn't apply to you. Still good to know. I wanted to talk about pricing, which is something that most artists all have to work with and battle at some point. This is Creative Stop Underpricing Your Work. Here's how to get it right. This is coming from Brad Weaver, Christopher Murphy, and this is on Creative Block. Creative Block is a wonderful resource for all things creativity. And they just went through and they asked a bunch of people of ways that you can go ahead and price your work. It's a nice read through. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I'm just going to read the headlines of each one. It says price according to value, build a pricing pipeline. You can even consider freemium. You can consider discounts and bundles. You can get the pricing model right. How much time will it take to do? What can the client pay? What will your final work be used for? Which volume will it be used in? When is it due? Who will own the rights to the work? What expenses will you incur? How awesome is your reputation? How competitive do you want it to be? And how much do you want the work? All things to consider. It's always a balance. It's always a juggle. There's no one shoe fits all for these sort of things. But this is a really good place to start and be able to ask you these questions in approaching work when people come to you and say, hey, how much would it be to make this thing? Then we have tools for better thinking. So let's say you already got the job, okay? And you then want to find a new approach, but you feel like you're kind of in a stuck cycle, or you're working with a bunch of people and you want a bunch of people to be able to contribute, and you don't want to kind of just hit the same wall or have the same contributors over and over again. This is on untools.co, and these are tools for better thinking. They have a bunch of different system thinking or decision-making tricks, problem solving, communication. And you can click through and you can learn about different ways to maybe come up with some problem solving. So let's look at 6 thinking hats. This is a way it says making the best decisions often requires looking at them through different lenses so you don't overlook an important aspect. 6 thinking hats created by Edward de Bono is a tool for doing exactly that. You can use it for your own thinking or in a group where everyone can represent a different perspective. So the different hats are positivity, creativity, emotions, one for data and rationality, one for negativity and caution, and one for process and control. Each one has a different approach that you can take, and then once you then apply it from all different 6 hats, whether by yourself or in a group of people, you can then make an informed decision on the best foot forward. Clever saying, why is it untools? Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, it's untooling the tools and being tools or untools. Maybe this is one word, untools, untoolis. Sounds German. Reverb Mike says, I just have weird dreams and then I make stuff. Also, definitely a thing. I don't think dream is on here. Oh, we have a sighting from Roscoe. Hey, everyone, to my cat. This is 100th episode. He hasn't been on this show in a while, so I guess it's time to have him on. And so that is untools. Then next up, we have It's Nice That article. It's Nice That is a great creativity blog, news site that approaches different creatives, does spotlights, and is a really good place to get out of creative ruts, as we were just talking about. This one, however, talks more about an advice column from Alex Beck, and it says, you say people gloss over when you mention your day job, so don't mention it. And this is a really good piece of advice because we go to these different networking events, especially owned by Adobe or for, I don't know, networking events for work or something else. And you really want to connect with people, but you feel like a lot of times once you start talking about your day job or you start talking about different aspects of your regular life, you lose interest in them. His piece of advice is, why not create something yourself that will entice the people you're trying to meet or connect with? Basically, focus on creating the environment that you want to have as your representation. Because you got to remember, when you're meeting someone, you are giving them the image of yourself. Whether or not you fully believe it or not is not really important. What is most important is like, that is what they are going off of as humans and getting information. It says, you say people gloss over when you mention your day job, so don't mention it, especially not early on in the conversation. You say you have loads of creative endeavors, so lead with them and make them the first impression of you. If you are a analyst or you are an accountant, but you really want to get into photography and you're really passionate about photography, don't go to these networking events and say, hi, I am a accountant. Like, even if that part is important to you, if that's not what you want to represent, you don't have to lie and say that you're a professional photographer, but you just say, hey, I'm a photographer. I'm interested in taking photos. And that immediately gives a different impression of saying, hi, I am not related to this thing. This is the thing that I do on the side. What you can also do, if you want to come off as a hobbyist rather than a professional, then you can also totally do that. But it's more so the advice, I think, here is take control of the conversation in the way that you want to and be nice to yourself. And also give yourself the credibility that you deserve, because you do, because you're there and you care. Bree is saying that she's been in a creative rut and they are not fun. I definitely agree. Yeah, it's awful. And something we go over a lot. So I am very sorry. And hopefully we can find ways to help you get out of it. Reverb Mike's saying that he also had writer's block and then he started writing at the bar. I have a friend that brings a whole typewriter, like a crazy person, to coffee shops. And that is how he manages to write. And I'm like, well, that's a big thing to carry, to just write. But he'll go there like at 11 o'clock on like a Friday night. He'll go to like lounges that aren't even alcohol forward and just write, because that's where it comes closest to him. And he'll bring his typewriter, which is crazy to me. Then we have Adobe Express's blog. They have a really great resourceful update. 5 social media trends to try right now. So speaking of creative ruts for you guys, if you just want to create for the sense of creating, sometimes that's the best way forward, is just to create something. And then naturally, once you finally start creating, then it will give you something more to work. They came up with 5 different approaches. They say you can twist a trend. So And you hook viewers with the first 3 to 5 seconds of a video. Some of the best brands right now are taking their audience for a wild ride. They start their videos with a familiar intro, like how to care for our product or make our most popular recipe, and then turn it on its head halfway through. This works because the audience is hooked by a traditional format, but then they're entertained by an unexpected twist from the brand. There's also create a faux pas social post. This is recreating the social posts within the systems or the apps that they are, and then kind of animate on top of them. So you can see that like this looks like an Instagram post or a link with even a like, but then you can kind of work outside of the bounds of the creative crop boxed, and then you can have it feel more three-dimensional. You can solve a problem. It says present a problem, then solve it. Instead of starting a video with what your product is, start with a problem you're probably solving. For example, working in social media means my desktop is full of screenshots. Here's the app I invented to solve it, rather than, here's an app I invented to solve having full screenshots, leverage consumer insights, which is fueling a post basically based off of the community and the environment. And then compare yourself to competitors tastefully and try to compare the two, where you are able to say, this is why our product or our thing is better than theirs. So this is mostly for marketers, but you can even do it as an artist. Obviously, you don't want to, for the last one, like compare yourself to other artists and be like, this is why I'm better than Ryan Selvy. But it's just a means of being able to approach that. All right, guys, that puts us another 20 minutes in. We're flying through this 100th episode. So give you about 20 more seconds to vote for Font of the Week between Swear, Urbane, RL Folklore, or Placato. Right now, it looks like there's going to be a slim win by... I have my glasses on, so I'm like getting closer to here. Right now, with 38% of the votes, it's going to be Swear Display, I believe. I'm going to end it in 5, 4... 3, 2, 1. All right. So that means we then have a showdown between the two typefaces of Swear Display versus Raffine. So for our last poll of the day, this one's going to be a little bit shorter because we only got about like 10 minutes or so left. Font of the show, and we're gonna either say it's either Raffine or Swear Display. I'm gonna start that poll. Let's see here. There is a lot of talk over on Behance. It says I have a pencil and notebook. If you go to sleep thinking of a problem, often you will wake up with answers. That's good advice. Oliver says, I'm definitely adding a why I'm better than Ryan Selvy section to my CV. Would love to see the resume. Come fight me. I'm just kidding. Definitely even, apparently, my spelling, it's even better. Isn't. Also, everyone's saying hi to the cat when the cat came by. So thank you guys. Roscoe says hello in return. Is that all of the resources we have for you guys? Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty packed resource section this week. Next up, I'd love to look at a little bit of some spotlights. We have some great updates from Adobe's design blog, The Drum, and It's Nice That. So let's hop into Spotlight. I don't know if this is a spotlight as much as I just want to talk about it. The Drum, which is a marketing blog, is saying that Halloween has crashed the pool party and how Summerween is spooking brand calendars. There's a lot of different external factors, but in general, Halloween is getting a lot more popular. It's becoming earlier and earlier. This is something that you can understand as a content creator, as a marketer, you name it. This is just saying that there was actually kind of kickstarted years ago by Gravity Falls, which was a Disney cartoon show, with Summerween, because basically the show was during the summer and they wanted to have a Halloween episode because it was airing in October, so they made up Summerween. That said, Summerween has continued to creep more and more. It is now September 3rd, so Oliver says Summerween is over and now it's proper Halloween time for him. But just like Christmas or the winter season, holiday season, Halloween has continued to also move up forward. It's saying that there are lots of brands like Walmart, Home Depot, Home Goods, Michaels that have all already stocked the aisles of ghost decor, like starting back in June, because there is now a taste of wanting Halloween in the summer, and then you also have Halloween a few months later. Consider this when you are creating content for your work, that is a whole group of people that are already in Halloween and have been in Halloween for 2 months. And I think it's something I just love to see because I love Halloween. Then we have 10 tips for integrating brand into products. This comes from the Adobe Design blog, which is a really great, comprehensive blog that Adobe runs. It is adobe.design if you're looking for it. It's also in the raindrop. This is saying good user experience is invisible. Your brand is what people will remember. And once again, we're going to just do the top level things here. You guys should really give it a read. It says know what you stand for, know your personality, design with emotion, not just function. Zoom out. When does this come in the line of things, whether you're designing a website or a book or any sort of sequential art? What comes before, what comes after? And maybe it's not even art that comes before or after. Like, what is the medium this is in? If, is someone opening something? What is the cover of that look like? What is the end? Use the edges in that idea. Like when there are things like 404 pages or like literal edges of pages, think about how that impacts the bigger image. Don't just do it as a throwaway. Use it as a feature that adds on top of it. Then don't fake it, live it. Think small to ship smart. Know what it brings to the business, make weird decisions on purpose, and respect the craft. These are all really great points, all brought up by Glaren Mangan. And like I said, he is writing for the Adobe Design blog. This is from the Behance team. And it's just a good spotlight to check out. And finally, our last spotlight of the day is for Peter Judson's CMYK, Monoliths Dance Around the Boundaries of Art. These are really cool because these remind me of like color theory artists, and they're these fun animated. I'm trying to pull it up here. Like Kandinsky kind of vibes. So like if you look at Kandinsky stuff, you probably know. Like they're these really like abstract kind of crazy colors, but a lot of it comes from the relationship of the colors side by side. And there's also like I'm trying to think here. But all right, let me just pull up the actual thing. You can see that they kind of dance around. They have these cool animations. But so much of it is like, I'm not even that much interested in the shapes that it creates as much as the relationship as this blue has to this gray, whereas the blue then looks different next to the green and the gray. Moving around, changing hues, saturation, vibrance, and still playing a lot with motion through all of it. And you kind of start to see things like those suddenly feel like eyes as soon as they move. They can be like pistons or like lipstick, and then these relations, as they're kind of being all moved around, then continue to mess with your brain and make you think about color theory, which is really nice. Okay, we got about 5 minutes left. So let's rush through. What are we going to rush through? You guys want to do hyperlinks or you guys want to do rebrand? Why not both? YOLO. Let's go as fast as we can. We have the Fighting Irish is getting an update. You notice the one on the left is one that you probably see a lot. The one on the right is one that they're being updated. I didn't do the rebrand thing. Here we go. Sorry. Okay, so the one on the right is one that they're updated. It's not replacing the one on the left, but they are introducing this new updated streamlined version to then be able to apply to different sports around the season. So football being the first one, but you can see they did some updates to the hair, the shoes. They even did a little bit of tucking in of the coattails that they have. It's such an iconic image that you really can't adjust the eyes, the nose, or the mouth, the hat. I think this is a very strong and tactful and respectful update while, still being able to update and not have a disaster. Then we have the Eurovision update The cool thing about the Eurovision update is coming. This news article is coming from Creative Boom, Abby Bamford. It says that the new identity for the 70th anniversary of it was designed by a one-woman agency in Sheffield. So this isn't like a gigantic ad agency that did this whole gigantic rebrand. It's just this one woman. And it's, once again, another very nice update. It's to celebrate the 70th. It has a really good write-up as to how it was thought about, how she created it. And it's just really remarkable. And remembering that you can do a 70th anniversary for a multinational event with millions of dollars. Then we also want to talk about... where's my last one? That's a hyperlink. Zooming out. Oh, iOS 26, which, if you guys did not know, is coming up right around the corner. iOS 26 is going to be the next update. You right now have iOS 18. They're updating it to be closer to the year. And these are some icons that will look different prior than the previous. You have their new one versus their old one. So AirDrop is going to change. The camera gets a lot more lensy, which looks a lot more like the original one. You have Apple Games, which is turning into a rocket ship rather than these weird circles. And then Image Playground is changing into this cute, or changing from the cute little thing into more of a interesting shape. And then Preview is a new app that is available on macOS, but is now finally being offered on iOS. And it's going to look like this little viewfinder, but more isolated. So very interested to see that. I'm interested to see how people who don't follow design and tech news react to their phones changing entirely into liquid glass, but we are right on the precipice of it. And it'll be interesting to see. And then, since we have such limited time, I'm not even going to play the music for it. Just our hyperlinks that we have here is we have Focus Friend by Hank Green. It is a cool app that lets you set up your phone to have a little bean guy. And as you continuously not use your phone and you focus on what you want to focus on, you earn decorations and he decorates the room. And then when you pull up and you get back into apps, it kind of has to start the process over. So the longer that he is actively staying focused, the more you unlock. And then it continues to start over whenever you pick it back up. Network of Time is really fun. It is this website that connects to famous people through pictures. So you go and you can pick up two random people completely unrelated, and it can tell you how they are have been in the same room. So let's do Martha Stewart. Do they have Martha Stewart? They have Martha Stewart and someone who's weird. Do they have Eisenhower? Yep, Dwight Eisenhower. All right. And then we are going to discover connections. And you can get from Martha Stewart to Eisenhower in 3 photos. So here she is with Larry King. Here's Larry King with Nixon. And here is Nixon and Eisenhower in the same picture. So it can like literally connect the two. It's very fun to be able to see how close some people are, how far others are. But in most examples, it's like 5 photos at the absolute most. And oh my God, we have like 1 minute left. We'll talk about this next week. So make sure that you tune in next week for Final New. Well, finally, though, in the last second, we're going to go to Font of the Week and we're going to claim our win. The winner for this show, I guess. Oh, somebody did it. Oh, gosh dang it. All right. Well, it was Swear. It was Swear. It was Swear. And someone was trolling. And since they trolled, guess what? You lose. Good day. It's Swear. I wanted Swear to win anyway. Congratulations to the font of the show, which is Swear. Yeah. Anyway. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Next up is switching over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Adobe. And Adobe is now on Twitch. I'm so thrown off by the fact that that was a 50-50. It's Swear. Next up, we'll be switching over there. Content will continue for the next 3 hours. Coming up right after me is Creative Retouching with Bella Kotek. And if we can go ahead and we're going to throw that link in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. 100 episodes Too cool. Too amazing. We're still here next week. Same time, same place. Follow me online at Ryan Selvy. I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky. I need to do Blue Sky more. I still check it out, but I don't do enough of it. But we're going over to Twitch. So I'll see you guys over there. Thank you for being here. File new forever. Swear forever. Ride or die. Thanks for watching. Thank you everyone who was here. Apurva, Jacob, Peter, Oliver, Evie, Winter, Bree, Cheryl. Thanks for watching.